This episode is brought to you by One World Empowered. Hey there, tired mama. Do you wish you could push a reset button on your energy? Like, do you want to keep up with those Energizer bunnies that are running around you all day? I know. I feel ya. Coffee can only do so much. Well, don't you worry. I've got you covered. Now, just imagine a community of mamas who know the struggle and are working together to harness and reclaim their energy. We're talking about a true community of mamas who get it. Daily practices to jumpstart your days, accountability partners, group coaching calls to ground and recenter you throughout the 28 days. Does this sound like the exact dose of medicine you need in order to feel 100% again? If so, this program is exactly what you need if you want to be more present with your kiddos, if you think a new routine will help you maximize your time and you enjoy having an accountability partner to help you with developing that new routine and those new habits, if you'd like to increase your patience and energy all while reducing your stress and anxiety, and if you think it would be amazing to have an understanding community of mamas who get it and are on the same path towards healing. Mama, today is the day you choose you and level up. Come join our 28-day energetic reset for moms by visiting www.oneworldempowered.com/workwithme and click the Learn More option next to the Energetic Reset program, or just scroll down and click the link in my show notes below. I can't wait to meet you and witness you step into your full potential. See you there, Mama. You're listening to the Empowered to Heal podcast. I'm your host, Dina T, and I'm so excited to take you on a journey through stories of everyday experts as we share the ways we've harnessed the power inside us to improve the quality of our lives and the health of our minds. We're so excited to have you here with us and hope you feel inspired and empowered to heal. Hello, you beautiful souls. Today, you guys are all in for such a treat. The one and only Kieri Rozenwaser is joining us as a featured guest on our show today. Kieri is a special education teacher and a small business owner, partnered with Monat, and she lives here in sunny Arizona with her boyfriend and their pets. Now, I met Kieri years ago through mutual friends, and we've been acquaintances on social media ever since. And social media is the platform that she uses to share her story. And today we're going to learn about Kieri's lifelong experiences with navigating anxiety, and she's going to share how these symptoms have manifested in her life and what she's learned to create healing for herself on her journey. Kieri is a creative and caring soul who is honoring the call that she feels to spread her message in hopes of inspiring others to feel comfortable about talking about their feelings and knowing that they are valid. Kieri talks about community, family connections, recognizing the connection between her gut and her mind, and shares a few simple yet powerful tools that she uses to navigate her symptoms of anxiety. I am pumped to bring you this interview today because I feel like Kieri's story is one that can resonate with all of us. Every single person I know has experienced anxiety at some point in their life, and the helpful tips and tricks and mindsets that she talks about truly do make a huge difference in the way that you feel and the way that you're able to navigate the stress in front of you. So, without further ado, I bring you Kieri. Hi there, Kieri. Thank you so much for joining us on the Empower to Heal podcast.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited for today's episode because it focuses on something that all of us can relate with experiencing, and that's anxiety. And Kieri, you've been somebody that I've been following on social media, and your transparency on navigating anxiety as well as some like symptoms of depression have been so inspiring because you lay it all out and you talk about the reality of how it impacts you on your day-to-day life, navigating whether it's getting out of bed or what you dress and how you show up that day. And you also shared tips and tricks on social media of like ways that you've gotten yourself to get through the hard moments, like if it's a slump with the depression or if it's an overwhelm with the anxiety. And following you on social media, your transparency with that just helps. It helps me, and I'm sure it helps everybody who follows you see and recognize, like, oh my God, I'm not the only one. Like, we
Yeah.
all go through this, right? We all have those moments, and some to varying like severity than others. But thank you for creating a platform within your voice on social media to share that and speak about the honesty related to it, and also the impact of the world today, like America and what America is going through today and how that impacts you. You've been very transparent as well around that, which I think deserves a lot of airtime as well. Like when we think of anxiety and stress as an individual, we're also experiencing that as a collective right now, in a community, as a collective, as a country. And you've spoken to that on your social media platforms as well.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I mean, I am hoping to make an impact on what I'm saying. It's usually just like honestly what I'm going through in the moment, or, like what's really resonating with me. It's not coming from anywhere beyond that. And I think that's part of the thing. And it's definitely taken me a while to get there. This is not
Mm,
something that has been an easy journey. And I think, I'll just kind of take you back to like where I started,
yeah.
and kind of how I've gotten here, and how I've gotten to a place of being able to use my voice, in a more impactful way, and hoping to make an impact and share that with others, and
Yeah.
helping others to feel that they can share it too.
I love to hear your story of that. I think of the components you need to even arrive at a place to sharing that journey, like the self-awareness, right? And the humility and erasing the judgment from it to recognize like we're all humans. And so I'm going to put this out here, even though it's vulnerable and scary. And so I'd absolutely love to hear your journey with that.
Yeah, and it definitely is a scary place, and like I said, it takes time. So if you're listening to this, it's not like it's a one step or one trick fix it, kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's definitely takes time. And as I was kind of like thinking about my journey towards today, it really started. I mean, my whole life I've been dealing with anxiety, but
Mm.
it really started like 10 years ago. And it's crazy to say 10 years ago because it's like, it's crazy to think how much work I've put in that time.
Yeah. And typically, anxiety manifests itself throughout a lifetime and it kind of comes to a place of a head at some point in time. So I appreciate that you identified like the past 10 years have been your journey of healing, right? But not like the beginning of your journey of anxiety.
Yeah, definitely. In 2011, I started my freshman year of college. Obviously, a lot of stress around starting your first year of college.
Mm,
I was living in a different city. I was away from my family. So just stress with that, along with,
mm,
just being in a whole different environment. And I was getting sick a lot, having a lot of stomach issues, which I've dealt with my whole life also, but it was getting
mm.
out of hand to the point where I was, at the hospital a few times and really not sure like what was going on. No one could kind of figure out what was
Wow.
going on.
Wow. And so in your mind at that time, did you think it was like fully medical and not like symptoms of anxiety?
Yeah. I mean, then like I honestly didn't have any idea. I don't think anyone had ever said to me that it could be anxiety, so I never put the two together as
Mm,
something that what was causing the issues in my stomach.
yeah. And I
And
don't think many of us do put those things together. Like when I think of symptomology of stress on the body, it often appears as like headaches or digestion issues, like tummy troubles. I think of like inability to keep food down or lack of appetite. You see people like skin conditions, right? Eczema and acne, and a lot of these physical ailments that we do experience in our bodies is directly connected to our mental health and our state of mind and our awareness with our body. And I love that you're drawing that parallel of your journey around discovering that.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring that up, that a lot of people don't know about it, and I think when you start to understand it and start to look at it within yourself, you really start to bring the connection. But I do think it has to come from somebody saying that. I don't think that's just a
Mm,
natural connection that most of us make.
I would absolutely agree with that.
And so mine came from a doctor. My mom also deals with mental health issues, and she was seeing a doctor at the time. And, at that time, it was like anything can help at this point. And so
Mm,
that was the person who made that connection for me between the gut and the brain. And that's kind of when it all clicked, like, wow. And I can remember just going back to like times in high school and times in middle school where it was like big events, like either like big field trips or big school events or prom or something like that, and just like getting so physically ill.
mm,
And, it was because I was so um, anxious about the events that were going to happen. And I would literally make myself physically ill.
mm. Your story right now is making me reflect back on moments in my life where I've gone to the, like, emergency room or, like, gotten IV fluids because I have such intense stomach pains and throwing up, and I get the all clear, right? I get the all clear from the doctor, and I'm like, "It's not all clear, yo." Like,
Yeah,
this is
something's
this
going on.
this isn't, like, an A-okay, go home sensation, but when I reflect back on those days, just in this moment as you said that, I'm like, wow, like those days did entail a lot of stressful moments. Like I think of Thanksgiving 2 Thanksgivings ago. I had that experience and I was in the emergency room on Thanksgiving and my husband and I were responsible for cooking Thanksgiving dinner and the whole family was coming together and I was on call for my job at the same time and it was like managing one thing after the next and I literally just in this moment Kieri connected the dots that that might have been related to
Yeah.
my stress and not my like body, right? Not medical struggles.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how, like, even something like that just clicks, and it's totally a connection. It's really cool finding those things out though, because it really does help, I feel like, along the path, because then you don't feel so crazy and like you're going through all
Mm,
these things. It's like there's actually a reason why your body is handling itself that way. And
mm.
there's ways to manage it beyond feeling physically ill all the time.
Yeah. And you had mentioned like this doctor you went to had taught you about the connection of the gut and the brain. Can you share with our listeners a little bit more about that? Because I mean, that in and of itself is like an entire study of science. But foundationally, what did you learn in that discussion that shifted your perception of your body as a whole?
Um, so I'm obviously not a doctor, but I what I really learned is that it's not only, what's going on in your brain, there's actual triggers between your gut and your brain where your brain is either sending your gut signals or vice versa, and they're really working together. A lot of times, if you're in that heightened stress, it's working against you because your brain is
Mm,
stressed and that's sending signals to your gut, which is, like one of the biggest organs. And it's, I don't know
yeah.
exactly how to say it, but basically like pain signals, because that's what your brain is also experiencing at that time.
Yeah, I learned about some teachings in actually the study of trauma around the vagus nerve in your body. And that's the nerve that connects your brainstem. And it runs all the way down through like your large organs into your gut. And that um, that nerve is often triggered by stress response states. So, people are probably pretty familiar with the fight, flight, or freeze responses.
Mhm.
And that's kind of a language that's used to describe what our body might do when it's under a toxic level of stress or like a perceived threat and we need to survive. And when that occurs, there's the information that's traveling through that nerve. The majority of the information is not actually coming from your brain down into your gut, but I forget the percentage, but it's like I think it's in the 80 or 90% of information is traveling from your body up that nerve into your brain, right? And that to me, that connection taught me the awareness around like how much our body's trying to tell us that we often are disconnected from, because the majority of society often experiences toxic stress. So like toxic stress could be like an induced by the amount of stress that you're under regularly. It could be induced by like when you were talking about your anxiety and your anxiety attacks, and what your body experiences in that moment is a state of panic and survival. But the information largely is coming from our body up to our brain, right? Like your tummy telling you, that's not okay. Like something's not right to our brain. But in our culture, we often disconnect the brain from the body and we treat the two separately, right? We go to the primary care physician for our body and they send referrals to like the GI doctor or whatever specific specialty that focuses on one area. And then if you got anxiety, they're sending you off to like mental health services and a psychiatrist. And the two are in completely different realms. And so it reinforces like this disconnect. And what you shared about your doctor bridging that gap, I think is so smart and wise, to help you like understand how the inner workings of your body and your brain work under stress.
Well, and I do, and it's unfortunate. I do think there is a big disconnect in most doctors, like you said, where it's like you're going to one thing for one specific thing, where it's like your body isn't working in silos like that. Your body is
Hmm.
working in conjunction with each other. So as a doctor, you should really be looking at the whole body. And, unfortunately, that's not what a lot of doctors know, and so
Yeah.
they do what they know. And I was lucky to go to somebody who made that connection for me, and I do feel lucky because that was such a powerful connection for me, and honestly, like, basically framed like how I'm living now.
Mm.
um and just very powerful knowing that, and kind of knowing too that I have more power over it than I give myself credit for a lot,
Mm.
and that there's a lot of things that that I can do in my day-to-day life, and that a lot of people can do in their day-to-day lives that help with that and help kind of, I guess, mend that connection between the gut and the brain.
Yeah. And to help our listeners, if they're feeling intrigued by this information, I would encourage you guys to look into a local functional medicine doctor in your area. That's where I go, and they treat me like you've described, Carrie. Is this the doctor you saw? Are they functional medicine, or what are they kind of classified as?
Yeah, I would say, it's like functional healing, like a holistic type doctor. I don't go to that doctor anymore, but I would definitely recommend, if this, like you're saying, if this is like anything that's resonating with you, it's definitely worth checking out,
Yeah.
because like I said, it was such a powerful find for me in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. So you were just saying prior to my kind of plug in there, you were just talking about like the awareness that that brought to you and how that shifted your life and how you think about your body and your brain's connection. Do you want to share a little bit more with us about that?
Yeah, so I think finding that out was definitely a big part of where I'm at now, but I didn't know it then. I feel like it took me a while to figure out kind of how to like overcome my anxiety and what I needed to overcome.
Mm.
And through so that was like the my beginning years of college, like my first year of college. And then throughout college, I still felt like I was trying to find myself, find my voice, find like who I was. And I feel like that's natural when you're going through college. You're exploring different things and trying to figure out who you are, and where you feel like you belong and what you want to do,
Mhm.
and that kind of thing. And then once I got out of college, I got into a relationship, and I when I first got into the relationship, I just felt like I finally like belonged with somebody. I feel like
Mm.
through college I was kind of like looking um for that connection with somebody else. Like I had seen other people who had done that, and like I just wanted that connection with somebody else.
Mm. Yeah.
And once I graduated college, I got into that relationship, and I felt like when I was in it, it was a good thing. But um, now looking back on it, it was almost like putting like putting myself into something, one where I couldn't express myself. So I was on this path where I felt like I was finding myself, but then I was being hindered in like what I could say and what I could share. And like I felt like I was slowly like starting to close myself off again.
Mm.
And that was like a really hard time for me. And it was very hard for me to see when I was in the moment of it.
Would you mind if we, like, unearth that a little bit more?
Yeah.
So, when you're talking about leaving college, right? You finished college and you're in this place of finding yourself, and then you enter into a relationship. And relationship brings comfort and connection and feeling like somebody gets you and you have belonging. But then you begin to describe how at first that connection, that comfort, it feels good, but then you start to lose yourself a little bit in that, right? Can you describe and correct me if I'm misinterpreting that, but am I interpreting that accurately?
Yes, that's definitely,
Okay.
yeah.
So, can you describe like that journey of understanding or realizing that you're losing yourself in that relationship? Because I believe us as human beings, we are social creatures and we want to be in relationships with other people, whether that's friendships or romantically or with family. We thirst, we're hungry for that type of deep connection. And many times we see people idolized across social media and movies, TV shows, anywhere you look, you see the intertwined nature of partners or families being so close that they almost become one. And it's like an affirmation of that's how it should be, but you don't oftentimes see great examples throughout the world of how to be in a relationship in combination with somebody and maintain your sense of being and your sense of identity. And so just even recognizing your awareness of that you were losing yourself in that relationship, how do you even get there?
So I think both relationships can be both a very scary thing where you can lose yourself getting lost in somebody, and also a very beautiful thing, which I will get to in my story. But starting with this, I it's hard to say when I was in it, because I don't really feel like I understood that I was losing myself till I was out of it, until my feelings had cleared up about the situation.
Mm.
But looking back on it, there was so many signs that pointed to just me not being able to. I feel like just not being able to express myself how I wanted to. I feel like when
Mm.
I would bring up my emotions were put to the side by my ex, and um, then I started to feel like I couldn't talk about my emotions, or I couldn't talk about my feelings. And for somebody that is has feelings all the time, to not be able to talk about that and to just push that aside for years, it's something that, that you get used to, that you shouldn't have to get used to. And I
Yes.
think that it really um like created this pattern in my mind that I wasn't worth enough to be able to talk about my feelings, that I wasn't
Mm.
um like I stopped doing things that I cared about. And like I said, I didn't realize this when I was in it. Like I felt like I was happy a lot of the time, but like I would miss work a lot. And then like looking back on it, it was because of my anxiety, because of like this constant state of just like yuck that I was living in.
Mm. You said something just a minute ago that I just wanna, like, go back to because it made me grin ear to ear that you said it because I'm like, oh my God, you're my people. Like you said, for somebody who has feelings all the time. And yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am a ball of feelings nonstop. And as you said that, it like was this ping in my stomach of like, okay, a lot of people are feeling feelings, like big feelings all the time. And holy smokes, like we often give those feelings we don't give them the light of day to understand them, but we all often like make those feelings something that are taboo or we hide or we just stick away for another day because we don't want to disrupt the flow of something. And I think that's common in people who are in the helping profession. I think it's common for people, I don't know if you know about the Enneagram, but like Enneagram 2s who are helpers and servants and who are out there to contribute to a larger dream and picture for the people around them, which oftentimes in an unhealthy state can look like people pleasing. And we tuck away these big feelings and put them away because we don't feel like there's space for them. And then we house them inside our bodies. And that energy's got to go somewhere, right? It's got to go somewhere. And so I love that you just said, like, for somebody who feels all the time, like you have a lot of these feelings all the time, like yeah, like, when you feel that much, having those feelings being honored sometimes feels like for me, just speaking from my own experience, Curie, but sometimes if I want to express all the feelings I have, I feel like I'm being selfish in doing that. Like I should appease the people and fit into the people around me because I don't want to disrupt their flow, right? I don't want to be the burden. I don't want to. And then I think of that and I'm like, who am I to be a burden? Like, come on, Dina, knock those thoughts off.
Yeah.
I appreciate you shedding light on the reality that there are some of us walking around out here, and probably the majority of the people who want to listen to this podcast are people who feel a lot of feelings all the time. And then I look at my husband and he's like an Enneagram 5 and he's like very like interested in like logics and facts and statistics and research. And when I come in with all my feelings, he's like, "What? Like, really? Like we're just eating dinner. Why do you have 10 feelings right now? Like the food's good." I'm like, "Ah!"
Yes, you have to
It's
get your people to understand all the feelings.
you do. Ah, I
But
love it.
yes, I am definitely an Enneagram too, I think. Just being a teacher, I feel like that's in my nature, but also, like you said, just wanting to always be helping people and always giving to others, and sometimes in, not in the best interest of yourself. But I've moved in a direction where I like to think that I'm doing it more for myself and for others instead of just others now.
I love that. So how did you get there? How did that mindset shift for you?
So um so now we're like at I just feel like years is like easy to see where we're at. So now we're at like 2018, which is when I had my breakup with my ex, and now I'm getting into a new relationship, which is like a scary thing for me, but also an exciting thing. I feel like um me and my ex were done a long time before we were actually done.
Mm,
So it felt good to be with somebody who was like new, and I felt like, the newness was all there and stuff. And so that was like new and fun and exciting.
mm,
But I was in my worst spot ever in towards the end of 2018. And I can't really tell you why. I don't know if it's because like I started unpacking all of this, but I was having panic attacks every day.
mm,
I was having a lot of anxiety around work, a lot of anxiety around everything.
mm.
And it was really bad for like a while.
Can you walk us through that? Like, and the reason why I ask you to do that, and only do so if you're comfortable, but I want people, I don't know if everybody knows what a panic attack is or an anxiety attack is. And you experiencing every day, what like literally physically was that like for you when you were going through that? So our listeners can have something to relate to or compare to.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, anxiety attacks and panic attacks can be a little bit different. I think of an anxiety attack more when it's like internal. What I'm talking about is like every day I would wake up, and I was living with my parents at the time, and I would literally wake up in like a state of fear. Like I would just wake up, my body would feel tense, like my heart would feel like it was just going to like jump out of my chest.
Mm,
I was just like so emotional, like couldn't stop crying, like just nothing seemed like it was going to help, and nothing seemed like it was going to make anything better.
mm.
And it
Wow.
just kind of took like I can't even tell you now like what even got me out of those. I think just being with somebody who like my mom who had been through it also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean just to
Yeah.
be in that state every day and to know that that was what I was going to wake up to the next day was just like it was really bad.
Yeah, and for your mom to be your support system through that, I think is foundational for anybody going through anxiety attacks or panic attacks. Having somebody that you trust and you feel safe with, somebody that you can give your all to and know that they're going to help you through it without judging you and help you see the other side of it and seek out things to support you through that. To me, that's such a foundational piece of healing is having somebody. Like everybody needs somebody to go through big stuff with.
Yeah, it's definitely important. And I think too, like even for people who feel like they don't have somebody, like there's so many people who are going through the same things, and it's kind of one of the positives of social media now is that you can see others who are going through it and make a connection with other people to where if
Yeah.
you do feel alone with it, hopefully you can find somebody, even if it's not somebody, not everybody has somebody who's very close to them, but just finding somebody who you can talk to, who you can process your feelings through, because there's the stigma is so strong on keeping your feelings in and not sharing, and I think that's why a lot of people are scared to do it, but it's
Yeah.
it's so powerful when you can just release what you're feeling. And I think, that's why I feel more impactful sharing about it, because I know what an impact it's done for me. And I want others to have that same clarity
Mm.
like I'm getting.
Yeah, and the vulnerability that it requires to be authentic is out of this world. Like it requires a piece inside you that is not going to be concerned with judgment. That's not going to be swayed by the fear that comes up or the anxiety that comes up, but the strength that you're showing in your authenticity to be yourself has to be such a powerful key in your own healing journey. Like you're being true to yourself rather than like you shared about that relationship right after college where you kind of became one with somebody else. Like now you're allowing yourself to feel the feelings and and express them. Like, express them without, like, judging yourself around it.
Yeah, and I feel like it's definitely a part of my healing. I think just being able to be so honest with my feelings where I feel like I haven't been able to for so long, and then not only being honest but having people accept that and having people like I think, going back to the Enneagram, it's like you want to help people, and if what I'm feeling and what I'm going through, if I can express that in any way for somebody to have some connection with that, that just makes me feel even better than I already feel about it's helping me to express myself. Whether anyone gets anything from it, it's helping me and myself. But that's like the little added bonus when you see that somebody is actually benefiting from it as well.
Yeah, it makes me, reflect on the healthy side of an Enneagram too, has more, like, altruistic features to it, right? And you're this expression of self and vulnerability on a platform that's public has an altruistic intention behind it, and I think that's a very just beautiful healing step in finding a way to express yourself, right, and feel safe in doing so.
Yeah, and part of that, along with just feeling more comfortable in myself as I figure out how to deal with my anxiety and how to deal with my depression. I started my own business in April of 2020, and I just feel like, there's a lot of things with that I thought were going to go one way that haven't.
Mhm.
And I could be very down about that, which I have been in the past, but I just look at it as how much confidence it's given me. I feel like that alone with me, or that coupled with me along this journey, has opened me up to be more open to sharing and to become more confident in myself and feeling okay to speak up on a platform like Instagram or
Mm,
social media like that. And I think also feeling safe in my relationship allows me to feel safe in expressing myself and knowing that there's not going to be ramifications if I say something that's truly on my heart. It's like I have my boyfriend has my best interests at heart, and he's going to be there to protect me rather than
mm.
uh, put me down.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful, and you mentioned your business. Can you share with us a little bit more about that? I'd love to create this space to promote it, but also I think the value of how empowering it has been for you, like, fits really well in with the discussion we've been having.
Yeah. So my business, I'm technically a small business partnered with Monate, which is a naturally based hair care line. We also have skincare, and we've now ventured into wellness products, which is just it's exciting to be a part of a company that's moving forward so quickly.
Mm,
And what I love about the products is that the products are great products. I mean, any company can have great products, but they're clean products, and they don't have all the bad stuff in them you don't want, but
mm,
they're showing results. And not only that, because like I said, any company can have great products, but the mission that our company follows is so strong, and the foundation that it was built upon. It's the founder and CEO came from South America and came here and built this business up, with nothing, and they started from nothing, and they've created it in such a way where that they want to help the people who come on board. And I feel like that's where I've really grown in the business side, is that I've come into this more confident person, and
mm,
learned how to be able to express myself and feel more confident in myself, and just find these other women and men who uplift me in a way that is so impactful. Like, just surrounding yourself by the right people, when you get to that spot, you realize, like, yes, these are the people I want to be around, because they're taking such strong action and in such a positive way, not only to help themselves, but really to help others too.
Yeah, and right there you're describing community, right? Like the value of community in your own healing journey.
Yeah, and it's like something I didn't even know that was going to be there when I started. Like I just started, to make some money, and that's cool, but it's like it's incredible how it's helped my mental health, and it's something that I wasn't expecting, but it's been like such a bonus with the business.
Yes. I have a friend who she says, like, whenever an opportunity presents itself to you, you take it. Like, you just take it. And she's so matter of fact about it. But when she says that, like, when opportunities present themselves to me, I hear her voice and her like stern, matter of fact voice in my head. And I'm thinking about that with this company that you're tied to, right? Like you just started it as an opportunity that came across to make a few extra bucks. And that opportunity, like there was a bigger mission behind that you yourself didn't even know. Like the universe, the higher powers, God, whoever you guys believe in, had a different plan around that experience for you, and it's been empowering for you in the long run.
Yes, and I love that you brought that up because I felt like that about even coming on to this podcast. Like I was nervous about coming on, but I was like, this is obviously like this I'm being called to this for a reason, and like there's obviously a reason that I've been like speaking up on my platform to get to like a place to be able to share it with others. And I just, like I
Yes.
totally think that that's a line there, and it was meant to be kind of a thing. So,
Oh my gosh, I believe in that as well. Like there's somebody out there or a group of people out there that you're meant to touch, right? Like you're meant to inspire and promote. And dude, you already did that for me on your social media platform. But there's so many more, and I think your story and your experiences are they're not unique, and I love that because we can relate to it. And we oftentimes go through life looking around at our neighbors through like a rose colored filter, right? Of, oh, Instagram perfection and influencers. And everywhere we turn, we can see these picture perfect perceptions or narratives in our head that we're creating around somebody's life and story that we're comparing ourselves with. And usually behind that filter we're manifesting in our brain or that's portrayed in the wild, usually behind that is somebody who has experiences in their life that we can relate to. And that's one of my biggest dreams with creating this platform and this podcast is for people to see, like when you look left and right, there's people all around you that do have experiences that are similar, and they can learn a thing or two from you, and you could probably learn a thing or two from them to show you that it doesn't take a doctor, or it doesn't always take a prescribe, like there's no magic pill in psychiatry. There's no set cure, a way to like how you can cast and set a broken bone. Like that doesn't exist for mental health. That doesn't exist for wholeness and wellness within your body. And really what does exist is human connection and relating to the people around us and learning how we have the power inside ourselves to navigate our own healing journey. And you portray that, Kieri, on your platform in all of the posts that you do, and even the most recent ones where you're writing a thought on a piece of paper around the pandemic and what Arizona is doing right now with saying that all classes need to be in person, and what you've seen as you went in person for a period of time to be the impact, right? And even big controversial stuff like that, you're like, nah, I'm using this platform and I'm putting it out there because the world needs to see this and hear this, and it's going to matter to somebody, right? It's going
mhm.
to matter.
Yeah, and it used to be I mean, it still is scary to put those things out there, but it's going to matter to somebody, and the people that it doesn't matter to, it doesn't matter. It's going to
Yeah.
matter to somebody, and that person that it matters to is going to be the biggest impact. And there's going to be so many people who don't like what you have to say or don't want to follow what you have to say or whatever, but the people that are meant to be there are going to be there, and there's people who are meant to be there for a reason.
Mm,
And I think it's important to know too that as even as I get stronger in my voice, it's I still struggle and I'm still coming into my own. And I think that's
mhm.
important to know is that you can still have a voice even when you're struggling yourself. You don't have to have it all figured out. It's just do it as you
Yes.
go.
Yes, I so appreciate that you pointed that out because I think some perception of healing is people believe it's a destination or a place you arrive to, and you will never arrive, right? Like you're not showing up and getting there. And you alluded to this earlier in the podcast as well when you said like it's been 10 years. Like I didn't just like come to a place of finding moments of peace throughout this or things that work and help, but we don't just arrive at healing. Healing is an everyday journey of how we show up and the choices and action steps and connections and relationships and environments that we form around us, the hope, the spirituality, the connection to our body, to nature, oneness, like all of those things come into play and we work on that every day. We consciously choose what we want that to look like, and the things we can't influence or change, we don't focus on, right? We find the things that do matter to us. Like you just said, it matters to some, and the people it doesn't matter to, it doesn't matter to, right? Like you can't change them. Like that's not the focus of it, but you're going to put out what you believe in, and that's going to have a return.
Exactly.
Mm. Wow, Kieri, you are full of so many nuggets of insight. Is there anything else you feel compelled to share with us today?
I just I just think I want to leave with a couple of things that really have helped me along the way, and I think they're really small simple things
Mm,
that a lot of people can incorporate into their lives. I think one of the things that I try to look for is finding the small things. Either, finding the small things that are good in my day or finding the small
mm.
things that make me happy and just something as little as like I took my vitamin today and I normally forget to take my vitamin every day. Like that makes me feel good because I know that it's like making my body feel good. So
Yes.
that's one thing. And then what I'll leave it with is I think breathing is something that like we always carry around with us. Our breath is something we always have. And I feel like it's been something that can just ground me in any
Mm,
situation that I'm in, and no one has to know that you're doing it. And that's just something that I think is super powerful to help
yes.
along with wherever you're at in your journey.
Will you provide us an example of what you do to ground yourself through your breath?
Yes. So, a technique that I follow is the 4-7-8. So you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold it for 7, and then you breathe out for 8 seconds. And I usually do that like twice, and it helps just bring your mind back to clarity.
Let's do that all together real quick because I bet anybody listening could benefit from some mindful breathing right now.
Okay, so we'll breathe in for a count of 4. Breathe 1, 3, 4, and hold. And let out for 8.
Mm, I already feel so much calmer inside my body, and you can actually hear the quiet. Like,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that with us. I think that's a powerful technique that anybody can use at any time.
And no one
Mm,
has to know.
nobody has to know. It's your little secret. And before I let you go here, Kiri, I want to help people be able to find your business. And so I believe in healthy and clean products that we use on our body. I know our skin is our largest organ of our entire body, and we take so much in through our skin. And your product line started focusing on hair, right? And
Mhm.
shampooing and conditioning and hair care products and masks and all of that is being absorbed into our skin, and so I adore that they're clean products and effective products, and so if you could share, like, if we're interested in trying these out, how do we contact you? How do we get a hold of this?
So you can just reach out to me personally, either through Instagram. I don't, I guess my handle is at Kieri is spelled K, the I is a one, and then ER1 dot Rozenwaser, and then my Facebook also.
And that's Rozenwaser, Rosenwasser.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to get to chat with you and learn about your mental health journey and your serious, like, awakening and awareness of yourself in this world. It's such an honor to get to witness that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me on. This was amazing, and I just feel honored that you asked me to be on, and I'm so happy.
Thank you so, so much for tuning in today. I hope you are feeling inspired and empowered in your own healing journey. I know that many of you listening might be reflecting on your own stories that you may feel called to share. If so, please reach out to me at dinat@empowertoheal.com. That's DENAT at empower2heal.com. Or drop me a message through my Instagram handle at empower2heal. I would love to connect with you and learn about your journeys so that we can hopefully continue to spread these powerful life lessons on empowering ourselves to heal. My contacts will also be linked in the show notes below so that you can easily find me. We are so eager to start a movement in showcasing the many ways we can heal. And you can be part of this movement too by capturing images and tagging them #empower2heal on Instagram. We look forward to seeing all the ways that you are empowered to heal. I love you, beautiful souls, and thank you so, so much. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and review.